Alright, look out for Charlie here. Let's get the basics out of the way. When you listen to audio that I post, do not listen to it on your phone or your tablet or something that has some little tiny tweeter and say, I don't hear anything. You got to use good headphones or good speakers. And when I say good speakers, I don't mean that you have to have like $1,000 liquid cooled studio monitors or some shit. I just mean that you need a speaker that has a woofer and a tweeter or headphones. Because if you don't, otherwise your phone and your other devices have this little tiny tweeter in there and you're not hearing what's really in the recording. Secondly, electronic harassment is not gang stalking, and gang stalking is not electronic harassment. So many people go to these videos that are normies or average people, and they walk away going, what the fuck did I just listen to? Because people are talking about people following them, and then they're hearing about noises in their ear or zapping or this and that, and it's too much for them to handle. They can't compute it. They leave more confused than when they even started, and it hurts the community. So when people blend those two things together, it's detrimental. It's not good. So they're not the same thing. For the average people out there, gang stalking is like a Stasi tactic that was used back in the day and is still used today, where they kind of mob people, follow them around, make them aware that they're being followed overtly, and usually they end up doing something crazy, or they do something crazy or something rash and they get themselves put in jail or something worse. Electronic harassment is when frequencies are used to disrupt people's sleep, to plant noises in their ears, to vibrate and cause pain in their bodies, usually the head, but everywhere else as well. It causes pressure in the sinuses and in the eyes. It does all kinds of shit, and it's horrible. A lot of people are dealing with it, and it piggybacks on frequencies that are around us all the time. So the person can't get away from it. So it's kind of weird. When you look at, if you look up cell phone coverage in the United States, Wi-Fi and cell phone coverage, and you see that, areas of like Idaho, Montana, where the coverage is very little, those are the places where there are least targeted individuals or people that are receiving this electronic harassment. So that's something to think about. I have a whole list of notes to go over, so I'm going to take up a lot of your time today. If you are ready, I am ready. Somebody mentioned in one of the comments, there's always a comment like this, and I'm not ripping on the person that commented, but I just wanted to elaborate on it. They said this is bleed over, and bleed over is kind of another word for crosstalk. And it's not crosstalk, and here's why. Because if I use a Sony Handycam or a non-wireless device that isn't a cell phone, I pick up the same thing. Also, it is one arm of this is also electromagnetic. All right, this is coming from multiple signals. And one arm is 100% electromagnetic, and here's why. Because I can take a device, whether it's a cell phone, recorder, or whatever, and put this inside a crock pot and wrap it in tin foil, anything that is going to guard it from any signals, radio signals or whatever, basically making a Faraday cage around it. The signals will still get to the recorder. So it is definitely electromagnetic in one arm of it. The other signals are between, from what I'm gathering and all my investigation, is between 260 and 275 megahertz, which is interesting because a lot of people that have been involved with brain manipulation and all that have said I can control the human mind at 250 megahertz, and this isn't too far off from that, so it's pretty close. Another thing, the reason why it takes me so long to get these recordings out from each city or even individual recordings is because of the steps involved with processing this. And when I say processing, I don't mean using noise reduction. Here's the problem with using noise reduction. A lot of people have mentioned this. Hey, what noise reduction do you use? I don't. And I did at the very beginning when I didn't really know what I was doing. Because, I worked with music. I worked with music and I worked with audio. And generally, in theory, you want to get rid of the bad signals and keep the good signals. However, this is noise, and it rides on noise. It doesn't ride on regular, like, okay, for example, if you play symphony music with no distortion in it, okay, it will ride on that a little bit. But if you're playing like metal or something really grungy with like a lot of distortion in it, it will ride on that twice as hard because it is noise. So when you use noise reduction, you're also getting rid of the signals that you need to make this actually show up in the recording. So what I have to do is I have to manually remove something after I look at the recording spectrally. I'll remove something, boost it, remove it, boost it, remove it, boost it, and I'll keep doing that and keep doing it. And I counted the last one I did. And the last one minus boosting was 76 steps that I took, not including boosting, to get it shaped so that I could push it up into the forefront. With boosting, it was around 150 manual steps. And when you're considering processing time on a 15-minute recording, it eats up the time. I can sit there for 5 or 6 hours before I even realize that 5 or 6 hours have gone by because I get in the zone and I'm just going at it. Yeah, so it is time consuming. And most people, with what I have left of this, which is, as I've said before, when I walk into my home and I've been gone for a while, I repeat a lot of this stuff because there's always new people. When I walk in the home after I've been gone for a while, I can get blasted by tinnitus, and I still have like skin issues, especially if I don't take care of myself, or if I've come into contact with something that I haven't came into contact with for a long time. Like, for example, let's say there's a box of stuff in my garage that I touched 3 years ago, or a jacket or something that I haven't worn in a long time. So generally I wash that stuff now, because if I put it back on after not touching it for 3 years or whatever, I start to itch, I start to get the symptoms back, and my skin starts to go crazy. It's really bizarre. Going back to the audio, to prove that this is one radio station, okay? A few videos ago, or 2 videos ago, I showed the video where it said and sounded like the guy said one name, like Don or whatever, one syllable, pays more for the contracts. There's a guy in Australia that commented that heard that exact same thing. And then another woman from another city across the country heard the same different phrases in the same thing. So this is one channel. This is like one radio station. And that brings me to another thing, which is cool. We've changed the landscape of this. It wasn't long ago. It was like 4 or 5 years ago, where I didn't agree with it, but everybody on the planet seemed to believe that people were following them around with Marvin the Martian guns and shooting sounds or voices or whatever it was into their melons. And now we've kind of like kicked rationality back into this community, and we've kind of reshaped the landscape of this, which is fucking awesome, because we were searching for ghosts before. It's not there, and it was misleading. And I think that is one of the reasons why a lot of these people, anybody that brings me up to anybody for like radio interviews or whatever, instantly they block the person that is bringing me up, which is very interesting, because these are supposed to be people that really, really care about the targeting community. And I have this plethora of information to share with people, yet these people seem to be blocking me left and right. And that's a big fucking deal. And it's a big red flag. Also, to anybody that I've been speaking with, a few days ago I woke up and my phone was off. I thought maybe my charger didn't connect and the phone just went dead. But the phone's dead, so I am phoneless as of now. I'm going to get a new phone soon. I don't know when. I'm really tired of replacing phones, so who knows. Also, YouTube, it's weird. I noticed that I wasn't getting comments as of like 3 days ago. And now all my comments, like a lot of them, are being held, like for me to review and for no reason. So I went through and I tried to okay the comments until I got tired of it. I'm doing it as quick as I can. Here's something that I wanted to talk about. This is a big deal. This is the only channel, and you can go around and look, man. This is the only channel where we have non-targets / average people that are actually involved in sending me audio. And I'd like to thank you guys for that. I swear to God, 80-90% of my audio that I've received, because I ask people, have come from non-targets. Think about that. These people are being more proactive than a lot of the targets out there. That's pathetic. You guys need to get out there and do something. Writing to your congressman or holding up some fucking sign on a fucking corner isn't going to do a goddamn thing, and you know it. I know it. Dogs know it. It's not going to happen. All right? So, get out there and fucking do something. These people have nothing to do with this, man. And they're sending me audio from different cities because they're interested in it. And this is the only channel out there that has been able to get non-targets, average people, to listen and get involved with this. And that's a big deal. Also, talking about average people, I've said this before, but there are plumbers and bricklayers and average dudes out there, and women that are hearing sounds like this when they lay down to go to sleep, when their mind starts to get closer and closer to 4 cycles per second. And that's what happens. That's the difference between a TI and a regular person. Everybody that is in this area that can be affected by this is being affected by it. Everybody, at least when they sleep. When the brain goes down and gets closer and closer and slows down and gets closer to 4 cycles per second, they start to hear noises, people talking, blah, 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 blah. They hear all of it. The difference between a TI and a non-TI is people that are awake above 4 cycles per second are also hearing this. Okay? That is the only difference. All right? And then with the hearing comes the entrainment. With the entrainment comes the zaps and all the other horrible, discomforting things that go along with it. So everybody is affected and infected with this to some degree. And I see it all the time. Like, especially in the summer months when I'm out, you can see it on people's skin. Because if you're new to this, you have to be infected with a sensitizer before you get this full on. And I go back and check out my older videos. I'll put a link to it. It's a hybrid between, there's a Shigella bacteria as well as a fungal graphene that allows this to sensitize a human being to this, which brings me back to other people kind of hinting around that this may be an accident. It is not a motherfucking accident, and I can tell you 100%. I'm somebody who came through the tube and came out the other side, and I am telling you that it is not a fucking accident. So this information, all of it, needs to get out. It is imperative, which brings me to another point. Going through the information, I searched on Google for my videos, and when I look up electronic harassment in Google, okay, I have videos that have, close to 200,000 views, which, as far as this genre goes, should come up right away. And I found one of my videos on the 5th page, okay? And it wasn't even my video. It was a repost that somebody made of my video, which right on to you. You can repost all you want. But I thought that was really interesting. As soon as I went to another search engine and searched within YouTube for the same thing, my videos were the fourth or fifth videos to start popping up. So they are actively burying this information. So it's up to you to start getting it out to people, because it's imperative that more and more people hear this, because there are more and more targets every day. And before they go do something stupid or start attacking their neighbors or start doing these ridiculous motherfucking things, they need to get this information. And especially get to the older videos, which they've made it exceptionally hard. And that's why I'm putting a link in every one of my videos to my older videos. This is something that I wanted to talk about, definitely. There was a comment made, actually a question that somebody asked, and they asked, basically, do you think it's smart to be rebroadcasting mind control signals? That's a really good question. And yes, it is. And here's why. The signal that we're recording is not only a radio transmission, but it is also an electromagnetic signal as well. All we're doing when I rebroadcast this online is rebroadcast the audio, okay, of what is being said. So it is generally safe, okay? However, I'm going to tell you this. I have noticed that if I sit and work with these signals for, let's say, 6-7 hours, dude, 8 hours, I start to get entrained by the tempo and the beat and the sound of the audio. I start to get used to hearing those frequencies. So I only work with them for so long, and then I take a break and I play like music, or I play normal audio right away, so that I don't start getting completely re-entrained by it. You get what I'm saying? So yes, it is safe if you're listening to it for a half an hour. If you sit on your computer and pick it apart for a half an hour or even a couple hours, you're generally safe. But I would not sit around listening to this 24 hours a day. It's not a good idea, because you get entrained by the tones, the signals, and the beat in the frequency. Otherwise, what is generally hitting people is electromagnetic and a radio signal. So it is safe to rebroadcast it as evidence. But again, you don't want to listen to this stuff 24 hours. The last thing I wanted to talk about has more to do with culture than targeting or anything else. And if you watch movies, television, and listen to pop culture or even psychology, they're trying to lay out this narrative that the human mind is this fragile thing that can break with the slightest bit of stress or any kind of pressure, and pretty soon your reality is breaking apart and you're hallucinating, and it is complete and utter bullshit. Okay, let's just take the new Walking Dead, for example. Okay, Carol, the character, is popping caffeine pills or speed, and she's been up for 24 hours or longer, and starts to hallucinate conversations and whatnot. And let me tell you something, man. I was in a position in my life where if I wanted to get anything done, I had to stay up for 24 hours at a time. Otherwise, I wouldn't get anything done. Okay, it was just a position I was in. So I was up for 24 hours at a time, easy. And nothing like that ever fucking happened. Ever. And it's just bullshit. They are trying to convince people that the human mind is this weak thing, so you start believing the bullshit and the psychological tricks that they start pumping out. Think about this sound for a minute, okay? Now, people are hearing strange sounds all around the world. Sounds like trumpets, sounds like these really benign things. People are hearing footsteps and this in their house. Ultimately, that can be used as a weapon. When there's an explosion, there's also all these explosions and weird things happening all over the world. So, you hear a jet airplane and then an explosion. There was a jet there. That's your only rational conclusion you can come to. So they are ultimately going to use this shit as weapons to fuck with you. And since the human mind is so fragile, you're going to believe it, right? It is bullshit. We, as a species, could not make it this far in this fucking world if we couldn't trust our instincts. If we thought we were hallucinating at every step, or we had been up too long, so we hallucinated a conversation with somebody or some bullshit like that, we would have never made it this far as a fucking species. Period. Period. Do not believe the hype. The human mind is not fragile. The human mind is a fucking tank. It can take tons of stress. Did those World War II dudes, this is before radio waves were just being discovered. Did World War I and World War II guys come back all mentally beat up? No, dude. They were completely different from every other generation, and the generations before that were the same. Do you think that they came back all beat up? No. The new school, the new generations did. And why was that? Because we were using electromagnetic signals, dude. And it is taxing on the human mind. The human mind is tough. It is not some wobbly, fucking wishy-washy, bendy thing that can hallucinate conversations after being up for 24 hours or whatever. It's just horseshit. Do not believe the hype. And now we'll get on to the audio. Okay, we're going to go over some audio. This is Colorado Springs, Colorado, which is cool because I did Seattle. I'm doing Colorado Springs, Colorado now, and I'm going to be doing Charlotte. So I've got one end of the country, pretty much the dead center, and then the other, which is great because these are all the same signals. This was sent in by Mona. And first I'm going to play you just like a minute or two of audio to show that it's the same thing. It's the same voices, same tones, same everything. So let's get to it, and I'm going to get into some other stuff after that. Let's do it. Alright, so you get the picture. These are pretty much pulled out of thin air. I played the original recording in like the last one to show you that it doesn't sound like there's anything there until you process these manually. Check this out. Okay, if you missed that at the beginning, it sounds like it says something something cancer. Cancer. There's a lot of that talk within these. Let's move on to some of the clips. How about this one? Sounds like he says he's got to go away. He's got to go away. Then you can hear the Morse code within here. It says evidence or evidently, and then here it says two people. Two people. Pretty interesting there. This one is really good. Let's see. Yeah, this one first. Okay, what it says here is headquarters really believes he could get some evidence. So what it says is headquarters really believes he could get some evidence. Now here's a pitch version of that to play it in a different tone. So that's what that one sounds like it says. Again, a lot of these are very distorted. Some of them are clearer than others. I did have a breakthrough on this one, though. I'll get to that. This one is interesting. Now, this is part of the breakthrough. It's just ELF alone. You're going to see. You're going to die soon. You're going to see. You're going to die soon. Interesting, right? Let's see what we've got here. This one, that one's not so hot. It's just kind of a mess. But that one is key. Check this out. It says clearly, I'm going to play it over and over. I'm going to play two different versions of it. It says, turn up the signal. I'm just going to loop it so you can hear it. It says, turn up the signal. Turn up the signal. It's like, they use these creepy, tough sounding voices, but these guys in reality sound just like Woody Allen, Now I'll play a different version. Same thing. There is no denying what it says there. It says turn up the signal. Now, whether somebody really means that or if it's just AI saying that to spook somebody, that's debatable. But That's what it says. Regardless, if I rob a bank with a toy gun, I still go to jail for the same offense. You get what I'm saying? Also, I'll play the whole thing. Interesting. That one says we have got to stop him. So there's the we have got to stop him. Not sure what that says. So, as we get deeper and deeper into Colorado, it gets more interesting. I really wanted to do Colorado. I'm really interested because not only is it the center of the country, but it's also the land of James Holmes and a lot of crazy shit that goes on that shouldn't go on. So, yeah, Colorado. I've been waiting for Colorado for... Okay, bear with me here. I've got a lot of files to go through. There's like a lot pulled up, so I got to look at them for a second and figure out what they are. This one here says it's a perfect system. Like it kind of breaks up the system and ends the system here. So let's listen to that. It's a perfect system. The inflection, as I've said many times before, isn't quite human. It's more robotic, kind of like a half scrambler. And this one, I thought it said Hitler at first because they mentioned Hitler and Nazis all too much. It's fucking ridiculous. But here it says we've got our hit list. So it says it's a perfect system. And then it goes on to say something else. Interesting, right? Okay, bear with me here. See, none of this is ever good. If you listen to it, try to come up with something normal there. I don't know what that says, so I'll give you the challenge. Tell me something that it says that's normal. Okay, go to the ELF. Now this is one of the first times ever that I've hit. It's happened a couple times, but this is one of the first times that I've hit full-on bedrock. And when I mean that, I mean like the last voice in the recording. The last one. So when you dig, you find 100. Then you dig and there's 50, and then you dig and there's 20. I found the last one. So let's listen to this. Let me pull up this one actually. There's some gaps in this, but check it out. Let me bring it down to the one that's not so pumped. Now, right here, proves that it's stereo. Because look at left and right. Here's the right channel down here. Here's the left channel up here. It's more pumped up in the left channel than it is the right channel. Also, if you look, the wave file, the signal itself is slightly different in the left side than it is the right. On almost every one, except some are identical, but most of them are a little bit different. Now hear how it has a beat to it? Boom, 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 boom. See, it has a beat to it. There is a beat, there is a rhythm, and it follows that continuously. So when someone's entrained to this, they are on that beat. It isn't until you break the entrainment that people don't hear it. I think that when people are sleeping, it's very hard for them to get away from it. Now that sounds like a high-pitched motherfucker. Pretty crazy, right? This is the last signal because there aren't voices in between. There's nothing lower than that. If I boost it up, there's nothing. It is literally audio bedrock. Let me play a different version of this. Oh, this one says right there. Inside that, if you listen, it says California. Or something for you. There's something for you or California. I'm teetering on which one it is. Interesting, right? Let's see. This is the high end of this whole debacle. So this is the ultrasound brought down. Wow. All right. This one. Okay. Here it says, and I'm unsure of one part, and it's right here. It says ask the, and it sounds like prison guard, but I'm not positive on that. And then it says if we can get rid of him. If we can get rid of him right here. Then it says ask the prison guard or ask the something if we can get rid of him. I'll loop it. If we can get rid of him. Ask the prison guard if we can get rid of him. So, interesting. Let's move on. Okay, like I said, bear with me. I'm dealing with a lot of files here. This is the super ELF. I'll play you what it was like before doing a little more processing to it. Okay, now remember when I said that I wanted to analyze Colorado. You know, James Holmes, people like that, they don't just go crazy. They also hear, like he happened to hear Obama's voice. You know, that's a big deal. You don't just people don't just hear voices. They've made it. Remember what I was talking about a few minutes ago about with Hollywood and their and culture and the bend on reality. They try to make and convince people that your reality can just pop in a minute. Back in the day, only the most hardcore, and I mean hardcore, schizophrenic people heard voices. It was almost unheard of, you know. And now they try to make it seem as though it's a common thing. So yeah, this one. Says something something is 13. Okay? And then it repeats it almost in a female voice. So you have this deeper voice saying something something 13. And then it says it again here. Except the 13, it kind of cuts off the teen because these frequencies jump up and down. They hop and they pulse. See that? Sounds like what's the contract? Then you can hear the Morse code type sound bust in here. And what that sounds like to me is she slept with another guy last night. She slept with another guy last night. So that is Colorado. I don't know what else to show you in this other than there are tons of voices everywhere. It's Colorado Springs, Colorado, and And yeah, this is just a normal recording taken by somebody and sent in, and then I pull up the shit and show it to you. So, that's it. Look out for Charlie. He's out of here.